Young World. So Killer Mike was on the Breakfast Club earlier, and it was a heated discussion up on there, bro. They was getting hype. Killer Mike blacks out on DJ Envy over DJ Envy sending his kids to private school and backing up the reason why he said he thinks it's better for kids to go to private school. Killer Mike was not feeling that at all. These are the kind of good discussions that need to be seen on TV, on not TV, but the places like the Breakfast Club, these big media outlets where they have millions of people watching and listening. These are the kind of discussions that should be being had as much as possible because it brings enlightenment and education to the community and lets people, at least gives you a glimpse into the mind of thinking about different types of things besides jewelry and sneakers and cars and all that crazy stuff. You know what I mean? So, but they had it was a heated discussion. In discussions like these, it's hard to like not feel like people are serious in the moment, because the thing is, like, when you call people stupid and all kind of stuff like that, like, because at the end of it they kissed and made up, I love you, they was like telling each other they loved each other and all that kind of stuff, and it was all good and everything like that. But in the moment, especially when you on a public platform, you know millions of people are going to be seeing it, even though it might be a second worth of disrespect is still put into the program. You know what I mean? Like they was kind of disrespecting each other, but Killer Mike was like going in on Envy. And at the moment when you hear him say certain stuff, you be like, damn, he's just straight dissing him. You know what I mean? Like, cause like I said, I'm not saying there's bad blood between them, but when you get to that kind of point, especially in a public place where you're really going at each other like that, there has to be a small level of hatred beneath the surface, at least a little bit. And what they kept joking about was the light skin, dark skin thing. That's what Killer Mike and everybody, they all always bother DJ Envy about the light skin thing. They even put like a light skin mad meter up, a beige rage meter or something they call it. So they really be the underlying factor sometime of a lot of discussions like this light skin versus dark skin stuff. Like, me being a light skin person, I could tell you, like, I got a whole I could make 1,000 videos about being light skinned and different experience that I experienced being light skinned, and how I could see the world treat other people different, me different, and other people different. Sometimes being light skinned is a benefit, and sometimes it's not a benefit. Sometimes it works against you, sometimes it works for you. So anybody that thinks that light skin and dark skin is not different, it's the same thing, is just crazy. The same thing, same way if somebody tells you that racism doesn't exist, or if they don't, everybody is a little bit racist. That's just the bottom line. I don't care who you are. Everybody has a little bit of racism in them. Anybody that tells me that they're not at least partially racist, I won't trust them. I won't even believe them. Everybody is partially racist. It doesn't mean that you have bad intention or use your negative racism for to try to cause divide or anything like that. But it just means that you recognize when people are different than you are. This is just a natural human thing. People just recognize when somebody's different, and especially if their differences don't. I mean, not just that they don't go along with the things you do, but then if somebody's differences are something that makes you think that it's making it like, basically, if you see somebody doing something different than you from your culture or your background or whatever you're used to, and it's not as easy or as good or as convenient as the way you do it, you're gonna automatically look at it like it's dumb. You're gonna automatically look down on it because in your mind you're thinking, well, I do this way, but they do it that way. But watching them do it that way looks like it's taking way more work or way more aggravation or way more nonsense than the way I do it. So why would they not do it like me? Because obviously the way I do it is better than the way they're doing it, because you can see there's proof right here. You can actually see it. Meanwhile, the other person that's doing it their way is feeling the same exact way about you. They're thinking, why are they not doing it like me? Whatever the thing is that you're doing, no matter what it is or whatever you're thinking, they're thinking, how come they ain't doing it like me? How come they're doing it a different way? Obviously, the way I'm doing it is much easier, much better, and quicker, and all that kind of stuff. So both people are going to feel the same way about the same thing for their own self. Then when you have differences with people, like if you're in interracial relationships or stuff like that, these little differences and little racism within your union starts to sometimes it really strikes nerves because now you start looking at somebody's culture and background. Then you start saying stuff like, well, why you do that like that? And then your mom must have taught you that. And they're like, oh, well, your mom. Then it turns into a whole big family history thing and why people do certain stuff or think certain things. So it can really, I'm going like way down a rabbit hole now, just talking about the light skin, dark skin thing. This is like, I went off on like a little rant just now, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But to me, it seemed like there definitely is some underlying factor of the light skin, dark skin thing. Even with DJ Envy and Charlamagne, they always joke about the light skin, dark skin thing. There's definitely something to be said about the light skin, dark skin thing. That's the bottom line of that. But Killer Mike was saying stuff, and what he was actually talking about was economics, talking about how to build generational wealth. Not just generational wealth in that aspect of it, but just putting your kids in tune with a different way of thinking to be more independent. Because at the end of the day, they both were kind of saying the same thing, kind of, but just saying it in different ways. You know what I mean? What both of them were really saying was doing something different and thinking out the box was basically what they were both the ideas that both of them had. Even though the details were different, it was still basically saying the same thing. You know what I mean? And I feel like both of their perspectives were good and needed because I don't feel like there should just be one way to do something different or to try to overcome generational destruction and all kind of stuff like this. You got to try many different things. We need people that are going to be in all different aspects of life and industry and just living. Some people, like Killer Mike was saying, and what I've realized on myself, some people are not destined to be rich and famous and millionaires and stuff like that. And for people that want to be like that, you don't even think that there's people that don't want to be like that. But believe it or not, everybody doesn't want to be a millionaire and be rich and famous and feel like they got to be this superstar type of person. A lot of people just want to be comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Like, I told this story before, I think. One time, years ago when I was younger, and it was the hottest summer, the heat summer, I had a Ford Explorer. And I had it for like a while. Like, I don't know how long I had it at that point, but it was like the second year I had it. And nobody could figure out how to fix the air conditioner in this Ford Explorer. Like, nobody could figure it out. I had the compressor changed. I had the Freon put in it. I had it flushed out. A whole bunch of stuff done to it. Nobody could figure it out. One day I seen this old Puerto Rican dude outside of an AutoZone in Allentown. I saw him out there working on somebody else's air conditioner. And he's like, oh, he asked me what's going on. I let him look at my car real quick. I swear it took him like 3-4 minutes. He took a little wire and connected two little pieces inside where the compressor is at and just looped this wire thing around and make it reconnect like to itself or some little thing. He put a cap on it and my AC was fixed. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that was amazing. Like, to me, that was he was like a superhero to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, like, I didn't, no millionaire mattered at that moment. Nothing else mattered at that moment. All I knew was for the first time I finally had some air conditioning in this hot ass car, and it was a hot ass summer that summer. And I was like thankful that he wanted like $10. I gave him like $100 or something. I think I probably gave him like everything in my pocket or something like that. Because at that point, I already had spent hundreds of dollars trying to figure out what the AC was. So basically, the point to what I'm saying is that you don't have to be above and beyond and be a millionaire, a trillionaire, or some kind of celebrity, a big star to be important. You can do everyday regular things. You know what I'm saying, and still be a needed member of the community, and still be a person that can help people and change people's lives. Because like I said, when he did that, fixed my car, it was like 5 minutes altogether. Man, I was like amazed and totally grateful and totally thankful. You know what I mean? Like, that changed my whole entire summer. The whole entire time I had that car, it changed the whole thing. So everybody doesn't need to aspire to try to be a rapper or a musician, a basketball player, or some above and beyond thing. Just importance in everything. You know what I mean? Everybody can find a role. All you got to do, if you're passionate about something, if you enjoy fixing people's air conditioners, there's nothing wrong with that. If you enjoy being a plumber, there's nothing wrong with that. If you enjoy being a garbage man, there's nothing wrong with that. But like Killer Mike said at the end, he said one thing about like the garbage man thing. He said, I wouldn't care if my son wants to be a sanitation worker or a garbage man, but instead of just working for a garbage company, figure out how to get your own trucks. You know what I'm saying? It's that kind of thinking is what actually can really trigger somebody's mind. Because even for me, like when I was younger, when I first started getting a couple dollars or whatever and stuff like that, my whole mind, me and all my friends who I was around, what we was doing, our whole mentality was simply, as long as we got $100 in our pocket, we're good. We didn't care what we did with the rest of the money, whatever else we did all day. That was just our mentality. You got $100 in your pocket, I got $100. You got a buck, I got a buck. We good. That's all we. That was what we used to talk about. Like for I don't know how many years this went on. We was just young, getting a couple dollars. Like as long as we had money to buy what we wanted to eat, do what we wanted to do. We had little used cars and stuff like that. That was our whole mentality. It wasn't until one day, I forget what made it me think different or whatever. I was like, I want to have $1,000 instead of $100. And before you know it, I saved up $1,000. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm talking about a time when I was young and it was different back then, and things were different. Saved up $1,000 real quick, and then that made me think from there. Well, if I got 1,000, why can't I have 2,000? And that's how I started thinking different. But before that, our thing was, as long as I got $100 in my pocket, I'm good. And that kind of mentality, that just goes to show you, simply the way you think can really alter what you're going to become or what you're going to do in life. You have to first understand and accept a certain mind frame. And it's not like we haven't heard people talk about bigger things or you know what I mean, seeing other people. We grew up watching people older than us hustle and get a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? Like even people doing positive stuff. We knew people that went to work. We've seen people that were doing positive things and had money and stuff like that. I grew up in the circle of Larry Holmes. You know what I'm saying? When I was young, I grew up around wealth, I guess you can call it, to an extent. Not that it was not that I had personal access to it, but I grew up in the circle of the circle of Larry Holmes, the boxing champ Larry Holmes. So I grew up in a certain mind frame of seeing certain things, and certain people have certain things right where I lived at. It wasn't far fetched that we can go out and make a lot of money and do something big, is what I'm trying to say. But that was when I was young growing up. But even, like I said, when I became a teenager and started doing my own stuff, running around in the streets with my friends and making a couple of dollars, you know what I mean? We were still stuck in a mind state back then of, as long as we got $100 in our pocket, that means that we're good. So basically, when it was like, long story short, it's good to see people have these kind of conversations on major platforms. You know what I mean? Because I think this type of stuff needs to be seen and talked about more often, instead of them just going up there and talking about what the last 5 cars Killer Mike bought, or the last, you know what I mean, the biggest chain DJ Envy just bought, or stuff like that. You need to see this type of talk. It really is influential to the youth that are watching. You know what I mean? Or at least it could be. But yeah, they was going crazy for a minute. For a minute, I didn't know what was going to be said at one point. I'm like, damn, they're like really going at each other. Because when you start offending somebody about what they're doing with their kids, that could potentially start some drama. You know what I mean? Like that could potentially make somebody stand up and say, you know what, that's my D, mother effer. You know what I'm saying? Or F you, see me outside, or something like that. That's almost what I was kind of thought might come at some point. But it didn't. You know what I'm saying? They kept it cool. They was like, oh, we always talk like this. We always have our arguments and our light skin, dark skin arguments and all that type of stuff. And you know what I mean? So like I said, at the end, they kissed and made up. Not physically kissed, but they was like, oh, I love you too, man, and all that type of shit. You know what I mean? So, but it was definitely a good interview. It was definitely one worth watching.